Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a market you might never have considered. It really flies under the radar most of the time.
Yeah. Which one is it then?
Pennyroyal Oil.
Ah, okay. Pennyroyal Oil.
Yeah, it's an aromatic oil, and well, you might be genuinely surprised by the significant flow of money in this global market.
It's true. What's often, overlooked is how these incredibly specific niche markets like Pennyroyal Oil can actually serve as fascinating indicators
Indicators of what exactly?
of broader economic shifts, maybe evolving consumer demands. This deep dive should really bring that into focus for you.
Absolutely. So our mission today is basically to cut through the noise, reveal the economic engine behind the global pennyroyal oil market.
Hmm.
We're going to guide you through the latest market analysis, look at everything from sales revenue, growth forecasts. We've got 2021 numbers, projections for 2025, and then all the way out to 2033.
That's a good data set.
It really is. And it's a perfect example of how even in markets you've maybe barely heard of, there are these compelling stories, growth, global commerce. It's all there.
Definitely.
But first, okay, for those of us who aren't, essential oil experts, what is pennyroyal oil? Like, why do people buy it?
That's a really crucial point. So pennyroyal oil is, well, it's an essential oil.
Yeah.
Extracted from the pennyroyal plant.
Right.
Historically, it's known for its strong, minty smell, and it saw use in traditional medicine,
Okay.
particularly as an insect repellent thing, like natural pest control. That was a big one.
Makes sense.
More recently, you might find it in very, very specific aromatherapy blends, or maybe some niche cosmetic and fragrance applications.
So pretty specialized uses then.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Understanding that helps put the market size and growth into context, why it exists at all.
That context is definitely helpful. So, okay, with that in mind, let's zoom out. The big picture, globally,
Let's do it.
this isn't some tiny operation. The market. It stood at a notable $114.199 million globally. That was back in 2021.
Already over 100 million. Okay.
Exactly. But here's what really stands out.
Yeah.
By 2025, it's projected to reach $156 million.
Mm-hmm. A decent jump.
And then you look out to 2033, we're talking a whopping $291.106 million.
Wow, okay. That's significant.
It really is. That works out to a global compound annual growth rate, the CAGR of a robust 8.11%.
Yeah, robust is the right word.
So perspective here, that's a market more than doubling in value in, just over a decade?
And that 8.11% CAGR, it's remarkably strong for such a, specialized product.
Right. What does that signal to you?
It really indicates sustained, significant demand, this kind of growth.
Right.
It often signals either maybe a resurgence in traditional uses, perhaps driven by that broader consumer shift towards natural products.
Or maybe something new.
Or, yeah, it could point to entirely new industrial applications gaining traction somehow. So the big question then becomes, where? Where on the global map is this growth actually concentrated? And what's driving it in different regions?
Perfect segue. Let's start our regional breakdown with Europe. It currently leads the pack.
Okay, Europe first.
In 2021, Europe alone generated $44.1949 million in revenue.
So a big chunk of that global total.
A very big chunk.
Yeah.
And that's projected to grow to almost $59 million by 2025, and then impressively hit $105 million, over $100 million by 2033. That maintains a solid CAGR for the region of 7.486%.
Still very healthy growth, even if slightly below the global average.
Right. And what's fascinating here is how widespread the contribution is across the continent.
Okay.
So in 2021, the UK brought in about $8.9 million. Germany was right behind, $8.8 million.
Very close.
Then you've got France at nearly $5.8 million, Italy, $4.5 million roughly, Spain around $4.1 million. It's quite a diverse set of players.
It really is spread across the major economies.
But what really jumps out, I think, is this rest of Europe category.
Yes, the data had that sub-region.
Yeah, and its CAGR was an impressive 10.32%.
Wow, okay. That is telling. Higher than the overall European rate, higher than the global rate.
Much higher. It suggests really rapid growth coming from countries outside those big traditional economies.
Yeah, that hints at maybe a spreading adoption across smaller or perhaps developing European markets. Could be local natural product trends or just distribution networks expanding. Interesting.
Yeah, I want to watch.
So moving across the Atlantic North America, this region also shows very consistent, very healthy growth.
Steady and strong seems to be the story there.
Pretty much. Its revenue was $32.4 million in 2021. Growing to nearly $44 million by 2025.
Okay.
And expected to hit about $81.2 million in 2033. The CAGR there is 7.966%, so very close to the global average.
And who's leading the charge in North America?
Well, no surprise, the United States clearly dominates.
Figured.
Yeah, posting $22.15 million in 2021. That makes it the largest single country market.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
$1 million in 2021. That makes it the largest single country market for Pennyroyal Oil anywhere in the world.
22 million just in the U.S.
Then you had Canada, following with about $7 million, and Mexico with just over $3.3 million.
So what do you think drives that sustained demand in these, pretty established economies?
Well, it likely ties into well-developed wellness industries, a strong consumer base already interested in natural products.
Right. The natural repellent angle maybe plays well there, too.
Exactly. And potentially used in other household products, perhaps. That existing infrastructure and consumer awareness helps.
Okay, so Europe's the current leader. North America's strong and steady.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for where the market is really, heating up.
You have to look east, right? Asia Pacific?
Absolutely, Asia Pacific. While it's not the biggest market yet, it is absolutely surging, growing faster than any other region.
Let's see the numbers.
Okay, figures grew from about $20.8 million in 2021, projected to hit $29.6 million in 2025.
Okay.
And then by 2033, projected to reach over $60 million. $60.259 million to be precise.
And the CAGR?
That's the kicker, a whopping 9.274%.
Wow. Okay, that is the highest regional CAGR globally, almost a full point higher than the overall average.
Exactly. So within Asia Pacific, China led the way in 2021 with about $7.2 million. Japan was strong too, around $4 million.
Right. Major economies there as well.
But the true standout, the one really leading the charge with just incredible momentum, is India.
India. Okay, interesting.
Its market was smaller in 2021, only about $2.2 million. But its projected CAGR, 10.335%.
Over 10%. Goodness.
That makes it the fastest growing country market within the fastest growing region.
That's not just a number then. That really suggests something significant is happening there.
Totally. A booming wellness trend, maybe. Potential new industrial applications taking root in that rapidly expanding economy.
Could be both. Maybe linked to a rising middle class seeking natural remedies or cosmetic ingredients, or even new manufacturing sectors incorporating these kinds of botanical extracts. It really shows how, shifting demographics and consumer preferences can reshape markets.
Yeah, and we also saw contributions from South Korea, about $1.8 million, and Australia, around $1.5 million in 2021. So broad growth, but India is just
Explosive is the word. Okay, so what about South America?
South America also shows consistent growth right across various economies there.
Right.
The market grew from about $7.5 million in 2021, projected to $10.5 million by 2025, and then over $20 million, $20.6 million by 2033.
And the growth rate?
The CAGR there is 8.775%. So again, really strong, well above the global average.
Very healthy. And who's leading in South America?
Brazil is leading the way, posted about $3.5 million in 2021.
Okay.
Then you have Argentina at about $1.2 million, and Colombia just under $1 million, around $900,000.
So similar to other regions, a mix of larger and smaller players contributing. What does this suggest to you?
Well, it suggests a broadening appeal, doesn't it? Or maybe new applications gaining traction as these markets develop.
Yeah, it's a clear sign that demand, even for niche products like this, can really expand significantly as economies mature and maybe consumer awareness just evolves.
Exactly. And the growth story, it doesn't stop there. The Middle East, another region showing strong, consistent expansion.
Okay, let's hear about the Middle East.
Their revenue climbed from about $6.4 million in 2021, expected to reach nearly $8.9 million by 2025, and forecast to hit over $17 million, $17.175 million in 2033. The CAGR there, 8.577%.
Still very strong. Consistently above 8% across many regions now.
It really is. Saudi Arabia is clearly a significant player here, led with about $2.2 million in 2021,
Right.
alongside the UAE at about $1.4 million and Turkey around $1.2 million.
So consistent growth there, too. What could be driving that in the Middle East?
Could be tied to maybe increasing diversification in their economies,
Right.
and perhaps just a growing interest in natural health and beauty products similar to other regions.
That seems plausible. Okay, that covers quite a bit. Is Africa the last region?
Africa is the last one, and now it currently represents the smallest share of the global market.
Okay, as expected, perhaps.
Yeah. But the Pennyroyal Oil market still grew there from about $2.8 million in 2021, projected to nearly $4 million by 2025, and expected to reach almost $6.7 million in 2033.
So, still growing, but maybe at a slower pace. What's the CAGR?
It's 6.83%. So yes, that's the lowest regional TGR globally, but it's still positive growth.
Right, important distinction. Growth is still growth.
Definitely. South Africa was the main contributor in 2021, about $1.3 million. Nigeria recorded around $865,000.
So even this consistent, albeit slower, growth across African markets, it still signifies a developing demand, doesn't it?
I think so.
It's interesting just to note the varying rates of adoption across different continents. It reflects really diverse economic conditions, consumer preferences.
Yeah.
But even small growth here, it does indicate potential for future expansion down the line.
For sure. So, okay, we've really unpacked the numbers, haven't we? Zoom from that global overview right down into individual countries and regions.
We have.
But what does this all mean for you, the listener, and just for understanding global markets a bit more broadly?
Well, if we connect all these dots, all right, the Pennyroyal Oil market really serves as this fascinating little microcosm of global economic dynamics.
How so?
We've seen the established markets, Europe and North America, showing steady, solid growth. Then you have Asia-Pacific, clearly the future growth engine, with India just providing explosive momentum.
Right.
And even the smaller, you could say, emerging markets in South America, the Middle East, Africa, they're all experiencing consistent expansion, even if at different speeds.
So it's happening everywhere, just differently.
Exactly. It powerfully reinforces that even in these highly specialized, seemingly obscure sectors, there's significant value. There's robust growth actively shaping global commerce.
It really highlights the power of looking at this kind of detailed market analysis, doesn't it? You uncover these often hidden trends.
You start to understand the why behind the numbers.
Yeah.
The drivers.
Yeah. And that pretty much wraps up our deep dive into the surprisingly vibrant world of the global Pennyroyal oil market.
It's been interesting.
Hopefully you've come away with some genuinely surprising facts, maybe a deeper understanding of how global commerce works, even in these niche corners you might never have thought to explore before.
And, this deep dive, it prompts an important question, I think. Something for you, the listener, to consider.
Oh, what that?
What other invisible...
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Listener to consider.
Oh, what that?
What other invisible markets, these sort of niche areas, might be quietly experiencing this kind of significant growth? And maybe more importantly, what does that tell us about evolving consumer preferences or new industrial applications or maybe even cultural shifts happening worldwide? Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into something, well, maybe a bit niche. The global Pennyroyal oil market.
It seems niche, but there's a surprising amount going on there.
Exactly. We've got research here from Cognitive Market Research, and we're going to unpack the key drivers, the challenges, and some really interesting trends for you.
It's a classic story, really. An old botanical bumping up against modern issues.
Right. How something traditional finds its place, or maybe struggles to find it today. Let's dig in.
Okay.
So first off, what's actually fueling the interest in Pennyroyal oil right now? What are the main drivers?
Well, a big part is how its traditional reputation fits perfectly with current wellness trends.
How so?
We're seeing it used more and more in herbal remedies, aromatherapy, that sort of thing.
Because of its properties.
Exactly. People hear about anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, insect repellent properties, and it clicks with the whole natural wellness movement.
Makes sense. It's like rediscovering something old for new needs.
Precisely. And then there's the whole green movement aspect. Ah, you mean pest control.
Yes. There's a significant push from people wanting plant-based, chemical-free options. So, for organic homes or even some agricultural uses, it's seen as an eco-friendly repellent.
So it's got that tradition plus the modern eco-conscious consumer.
And don't forget its deep roots in traditional medicine in certain cultures. That creates a steady baseline demand. It's an established thing for many people.
Any other areas? Maybe less obvious ones?
Yeah, there's a smaller but growing spot for it in personal care.
Like soaps and things.
Right. Natural soaps, some cosmetics, perfumes. That minty scent is quite refreshing, appealing to the clean beauty crowd.
Okay, so several streams feeding into its popularity. But it's not all smooth sailing, is it? What are the big challenges, the restraints?
No, definitely not. And this is important. The main issue, the really big one, is toxicity.
Toxicity. Right, I've heard about that.
It contains a compound, pelargon. In high doses, it's seriously harmful. We're talking potential liver damage.
Wow. Okay, that's significant. It is. And because of that, many countries have strict regulations, especially for anything you might put on your skin in large amounts or obviously ingest.
So regulations are a major hurdle.
What else?
Well, linked to that, there's actually limited hard clinical evidence for many of the health claims.
So it's more traditional belief than proven science for some uses.
For many, yes.
Yeah.
And that makes the bigger pharmaceutical companies, even large wellness brands, very cautious. They want solid data.
Understandable. Lack of proof holds it back from the mainstream.
Definitely. And then you've got practical stuff. It doesn't last forever on the shelf.
Oh, shelf life issues.
Yeah, it's sensitive to light and air. So formulating with it, packaging it, it gets complicated and adds cost. Not ideal for mass production.
So a tricky substance. It makes you think, doesn't it, about that line between natural remedies and safety.
It really does.
Yeah.
Ancient wisdom needs modern scrutiny sometimes.
Okay, so we've got the pros and the cons, the drivers and the restraints. Looking ahead now, what about emerging trends? How is Pennyroyal Oil sort of adapting? It's finding some interesting new paths. One big one is in organic agriculture.
As that natural pest deterrent we mentioned.
Exactly, but more formalized now. Farmers looking for sustainable options are giving it a serious look.
And outside of farming.
It's really finding its niche in specialty wellness markets. Think herbal apothecaries, small wellness shops.
Places catering to informed consumers.
Yes, people who research ingredients, who want natural but understand the nuances. They're the target audience now.
And what about the safety aspect? Are manufacturers addressing the pelargon issue?
They are. There's a definite focus on creating safer formulations, maybe reducing the pelargon levels or blending it carefully with other oil.
Trying to get the benefits without the risk.
Sort of, yeah. Balancing safety and effectiveness. It's about responsible innovation, really. Giving this old oil a safer, modern life.
Is education part of that too?
Hugely important. Brands and herbalists are putting more effort into educating consumers. Safe use, proper dilution, managing expectations. It's all key to minimizing risks.
So it's quite a journey for Pennyroyal Oil. From traditional use through these modern hurdles and now finding these specific, careful applications.
It really is, and it leaves you with something to think about, doesn't it?
Like what?
Well, just consider how a natural product, one with real complexities and risks, can still find a way through research, through education. It can evolve to be used beneficially and safely.
It raises that bigger question.
Exactly. How do we keep balancing our desire for natural solutions with the absolute need for safety? Especially as we keep rediscovering potent remedies from the past, it's a constant balancing act.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.